Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostle, elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to the hopeful elect. Just going to be quick with this one. But I was watching the brother Ashiar's video here, as the title is E, which represents Edom, is lower than a rat, lower than a roach or rat, right? And as the brother was going through certain things and, explaining why, it got me meditating. Sometimes when you watch a brother's video, certain words or something he may say starts the spirit, starts the gears turning in your mind. And I started thinking about, he went into Isaiah 14, and I think he mentioned even Obadiah as well, which I'm going to also bring out those same precepts. But when you think about, this is what the spirit had me meditate and think upon while I was watching the brother's video, is that when you think about Esau, right, the Edomites, the top banking families, trying to rush to save their kingdom, it's really a fight for survival. And I think that that's what I'm going to name the title of this lesson, is a fight for survival. Even if you look at it for us, on the right-hand side, spiritually, it's a fight for survival as well for us, but it's also a fight for survival for Esau. And why do I say that? Because they have heard their judgment through the spirit of the Lord's mouth, which is his prophets, right? So them having heard their judgment, having heard their end, why not fight to keep your kingdom alive? It's not just, right? Although it is one of the things, right? When you really sit down and meditate, there's a plethora of different things that, as to the reason as to why Esau wants this new world order, why he's fighting. And this is just one aspect that I'm coming from, which is a fight for survival. Why? Because in Obadiah, which I'm going to get it as well, it talks about how there shall not be any remaining of the house of Edom, which means that they're going to be completely done away with, right? If you ever have the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, it talks about how the other nations, out of all the nations, Edom, who, if I'm not, I don't have the book around me right now, but it says Edom is one of the only nations who was not ever who was pronounced to not receive any mercy from the Heavenly Father. So with them understanding that and them knowing that, why not fight for your kingdom? Why not try to create a system to where you can hold power? Although it's pretty foolish when you really think about it, because what? Here it is, they're trying to escape to different lands, to their bunkers. They know that the Lord is on his return, but yet you want to set up a system to essentially have your power to keep your grip on the world, but yet at the same time you're going to hide to the bunkers. So then it's like, wouldn't you think that, hey, this is crunch time, this is when I really should, dig deep into my plan, right? Like, I've heard Elder Zion mention this when he said he had a conversation with Elder Apostle Tahar once. I believe this is when he was in GMS. He had this Elder Apostle Tahar had the saying, "Don't lighten up, tighten up." So you would think that, hey, you're right, you're pursuing your New World Order. You would think that you would tighten up. You would, which they are doing that, but you would think like, yo, we ain't going nowhere. We full force with this thing, man. We going all the way. We're not going to hide in our bunkers or whatever have you. But why are you hiding in your bunkers when the Lord's going to return, destroy everything? What, you think that you're going to rise from the ashes like a phoenix? I think that's Greek mythology, if I'm not mistaken. Rise from the ashes after everything is done and take control of what? If Yahweh Shai, which is not an if, but let's just go. Yahweh Shai comes back, destroys your hold on the world. What do you think you're coming back to get? So really it shows you that this whole New World Order is really stupid, it's futile, and it's really nothing. But one of the reasons why they're going for it is it's a fight for survival, because you have to understand, once they go into captivity, right? Let's get some precepts. I want to say, is that Isaiah 24? I believe it's Isaiah 24. Right? This is what's going to happen when Yahweh Shai comes back, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. If I'm not mistaken, it's written of in Revelation 19, where he talks about having many crowns upon his head. He's going to take the kingdom from all these other nations that have rulers. right? He's going to be the only king. That's why he's known as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But this is Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 20. Verse 21. And shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high. Who are the high ones that are on high? The Illuminati, the top banking family, if you will, right? Rockefellers, Rothschilds, so on and so forth. And the kings of the earth upon the earth, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days they shall be visited. So, because of how they've ruled the world, right? As it's written of in Revelation 11, destroy them that destroy the earth, right? They have destroyed the earth. And I believe also it talks about also that meaning morally. Let's get that, right? Revelation chapter 11 and verse 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath, which is the Heavenly Father through his Son, is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, which were nearing that time to happen, and to the saints and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Now, not just, by the means of chemtrails and things like that. Excuse me. Is it this one? Right? To change for the worse, to corrupt of minds and morals, you see? So they have corrupted the minds of the people throughout the world, right? They have corrupted morals, especially here in Western society, especially here in America, you see? So with that, they have to be taken out of power. That's why, again, in Isaiah 24 and 21, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days they shall be visited, because of how they ruled the world, right? They have shown their incompetence, they have shown their foolishness, right? So therefore they have to be taken out of power and shut up and put up in the prison, you see? So with them understanding that and knowing that, and also what's written of in Obadiah, why would you not fight to survive? Because they know that eventually, once they go into that captivity, that those 1,000 years from start to finish is just going to lead to the eventual, there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. So them fighting to keep their kingdom alive, them doing this new world order, although we see and understand now that's a very futile, it's foolish, it doesn't make any sense really, but you have to fight for your survival, because if you understand that, hey, once they get me in chains, once they have their Lord gives them power over us, once he returns, that's it, we're going into captivity, and all those days leading up or going through captivity is just going to lead to the eventual annihilation of a nation. So with that understanding, why not fight for your kingdom? Why not do all these things? Because you're not just fighting for power, you're fighting for the very existence of your race or your existence, because these top bank families, they're Edomites. They're not Caucasian, they're not white. Those are not biblical nationalities. Their nationality goes back to the nation of Edom, right? They are the sons of Esau, right? They are the Edomites. So they are not just fighting for power to have control, for the birthright. They're also fighting for their survival. Although those things I just mentioned, they are fighting for that because they want the birthright back. But it's also they're fighting to survive because they don't want to be no more Edomites, because that includes them as well. They may not care about the majority of their people, but think about themselves. They want to live. They want to continue. They don't want to be done away with. So when we read the scriptures, which I'll jump through some of this, and then I'll also get we'll end off, Lord's willing, we'll see on Obadiah, the only book of Obadiah. But this is I'm just gonna jump through here, breaking down certain precepts in Isaiah 14. Okay, let's start at verse 4. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 4. that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. The king of Babylon, they represent the king of Babylon today, right? And America is spiritually Babylon, right? And say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Lord had broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers, which represents their power. All right, so the Lord is going to take that down. Let's jump to verse 9. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. Now, there is no such thing as hell. It talks about the grave, right? The Hebrew word there should be sha'awal, which represents the pit, the grave. That's where you put bodies. But this is in a spiritual sense that it's speaking about, right? To go from, I believe it says it here, right? Verse 12, we're going to get to it, right? So let me jump to verse 12 to explain. Verse 12 says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, right? When you think of heaven, the morning, that is something that is what? Elevated in the sky, right? The sun is in the sky. When people think of heaven, they think of what? Something up. They look up. So what it represents them, like I said in Isaiah 24, right? To punish the host of the high ones that are on high. It doesn't mean that they're in the heavens. It just means that they are elevated. They are at the top of society, right? Again, but like it's written of in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And when the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, you're going to have people who are at the top, right? The top of the pyramid, right? So it talks about, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, meaning that what? He's at the height, but then being brought down. So when you think of that dynamic of heaven and hell, heaven is at the top and hell is at the bottom. Now, again, not that fairy tale stuff that you learned in church about a fiery place, no. But it just represents the position from being from the top to the bottom. So, hell from beneath is moved for thee. Let me read that again. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirred up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It had raised up their thrones, all the kings of the nations. And they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? That's how these other nations are going to look, because what? These other nations are going to be brought down. And he who was at the top is also going to be brought down as well. So it's like, damn, you here too? Right? If you ever seen that meme, James Franco, I don't know if you know the actor, but the guy who played Harry Osborn in the Spider-Man movies from the Tobey Maguire one, the Sam Raimi, if you know that director as well. If you ever seen that meme, he's in another movie, he has a noose around his neck. He's like, oh, first time? That's how the other nations are like, oh, first time. Oh, you here too? Oh, wow. Verse 11, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee, which represents, again, decay. So it just represents being brought low, right? To be up and then be brought low. You look at all the kingdoms, right? When you read like Daniel the 2nd chapter, Daniel the 7th chapter, right? The Babylonian Empire, it had its high estate, right? It was elevated. It was the power, the superpower at the time, right? Even before the Neo-Babylonian Empire, you had Egypt. But then what happened when the Lord dealt with Egypt and delivered the Israelites out of Egypt? Egypt went from being the superpower to being brought very low. The Neo-Babylonian Empire was once the height, but was brought low. The Medo-Persians, same thing. The Greeks, same thing. The Romans, the same thing. So when it talks about heaven and hell, it's just representing being at a high position, the height, then being brought down. Excuse me. Right? Verse 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? See, so being that high standard to being now brought down to a low position. And Lucifer is not the name of Satan. It just represents light bearer, bearing the light. That's why they call themselves the Illuminati, because they know the truth. While they have everybody in a confused world out here, right? Like it's written of in Revelation 11, destroy them that didst destroy the earth, right? Morally and also corrupting the minds of the people. So they've corrupted your minds to believe any and everything out here, but they hold the truth. They know the true things. They just deceive you. Like Elder Apostle Gabar mentions, in order to lie to someone, you have to know the truth. Because in order to deceive someone from going the right way, you have to know what the right way is and know how to what? I don't want them going on this path, so I need to turn them from going along this path. So that means that what? Again, in order to deceive someone or lie to someone, you have to know the truth. So that's why they call themselves the Illuminati, because they know the truth. They know things. They know who the Israelites are. They know who they are. It's you people out here whose minds they have corrupt and morally that don't know it. Verse 13, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. See? So in their mind, with their new world order that they want to set up, this digital infrastructure, AI, all these things, this is how they see themselves becoming like the Most High. But, verse 15, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. See, you're going to be brought low. You're in an elevated position right now. You're in heaven, but you're going to be brought down. Right? Let's jump to verse 18. Verse 18, all the kings of the nations, even all of them lie in glory, everyone in his own house. So after that 1,000 years of captivity, these other nations, like it's understood, even that Zondervan Bible Dictionary, that all these other nations get mercy from the Heavenly Father. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to be at one or they're going to have a high position in the kingdom of heaven. No, right? They're going to be under us, under the Israelites. But they will have a fair shake. They will have a fair portion, right? They will be treated well under the new rulers of the earth, which will be the Israelites, the elect of the nation of Israel, right? We're not going to rule the world how Esau has it, to where you have hyperinflation, unemployment. No. People are going to be able to take care of their families. You're going to be able to have kids. You're not going to have to worry about your kids missing and things like that, right? You're not going to have I'm just going to say it. Hopefully the Lord covers my video. No Epstein. We're not going to do those type of things with children, all that Epstein Island, all these weird things, right? A lot of your government officials are a bunch of freaks and weirdos. The current rulership that is coming up, there's not going to be no freaks and weirdos doing that. The Lord is not going to tolerate that, right? Wisdom of Solomon talks about the most odious works of witchcraft, if I'm not mistaken. So we're not going to do these things that are a rotting smell in the eyes of the Heavenly Father, because he's going to put his spirit within us to rule according to how he wants to. Verse 19, but thou art cast out of thy grave, right, which the grave could represent rest. So you would think after that captivity, oh, okay, all right, we're still going to be under the Israelites, but, that hardcore captivity. No. You're being separated for something else. And after this, we're going to go into Obadiah. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with the sword that go down to the stones of the pit. As a carcass trodden underfoot, thou shalt not be joined with them in burial. Because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people, the seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. So you see, you're being separated for something else. And what is that else you're being separated for? This. Obadiah 1 and verse 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. So how you rewarded us evil, evil is going to be rewarded unto you. And that's righteous. Verse 16. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, which represents the Israelites, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. See, this represents again in a different way, without using heaven and hell as a metaphor, to show that what? Those that were are going to be as though as they had not been. So they are one at an elevated position, now being brought down. Verse 17, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, which represent the other nations. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire. Actually, let me read this in the Amplified. Let's just get straight to the point, so it's clear and cut for you. Amplified of Obadiah 1 and 18. Then the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, in executing God's wrath. But the house of Esau will be like stubble. They, Jacob, which represents the Israelites, shall set them on fire and consume them, the Edomites, so that there shall be no survivor of the house of Esau, for the Lord had spoken. We still have Edomites today, so this prophecy has not been fulfilled. And this is why, or one of the reasons, I should say, that they're fighting for their new world order. They're fighting to escape this. This is a fight for survival. They understand that as the Lord has spoken, that eventually is going to happen. There shall be no survivor of the house of Esau, and the top banking families represent that. They may not care about the rest of the nation, but they care about themselves, and they don't want to be done away with. So this is why they're fighting. And these are the things that I was just meditating on as I was listening to brother's video, that, with Esau understanding, like the brother's going into, that he's lower than a rat, lower than a rodent. I'm sorry, lower than a cockroach or a rodent. So the Heavenly Father does not look upon them favorably. He doesn't like them. And then to hear the things that there's not going to be any remaining of you, it's like, yo, I'm going to fight to stay in power. I'm going to fight to keep my kingdom. Because if I lose it, it's just going to lead, that's just going to be a countdown to the days where eventually, as the Lord has spoken, there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. So this is a fight for survival. This is also, yes, a fight to keep the birthright, right? But it's also a fight for survival, because after that, there's not going to be any remaining of the house of Esau. Right? So I'll end it there, and I pray and hope that this video has been edifying and made sense through the spirit, the point I was coming across. In ending, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostle, elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all for elect. Shalom.